What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ravi Wadden, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the 2024 Mazda CX-90 plug-in hybrid SUV. Now, the Mazda CX-90 PHEV is one of the best three-row SUV lease deals in the country right now. And in this video, I'm going to show you why it's such an incredible lease deal. We'll break down the monthly payment, we'll break down the MSRP, we'll get into all of the little nitty-gritty details, and we'll also talk about the 1.25% rule of car leasing, which essentially is a rule of thumb that I use to indicate whether or not you're getting a good lease deal on a particular car. And in this particular case, the Mazda CX-90 is a lease that is under 1.25%, which essentially means your monthly payment with $0 down is going to be less than 1.25% of the MSRP. Now, if you're getting a little confused, don't worry, because in this video, I will break it down step by step, and I'll explain everything in a very clear, concise, and easy to understand way. But with that, let's jump into the computer behind me and let me show you this awesome lease deal on a 2024 Mazda CX-90 plug-in hybrid SUV. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on Mazda's website, and this is the main page for the three-row Mazda CX-90 PHEV or plug-in hybrid. Now, in my opinion, I do think that this is an awesome three-row SUV. You get an all-electric range of 26 miles, you get a total range of 490 miles, and you get a combined MPGE of 56 miles per gallon. And the cool thing about leasing a plug-in hybrid like the Mazda CX-90 is that you actually get this $7,500 EV tax credit, because if you were to buy or finance this particular car, you would not get the $7,500 EV tax credit. And that definitely adds to what makes this lease deal so appealing. All right, so let's go ahead and click on View All Offers. And here on the left-hand side of the page, we're going to click on Mazda CX-90 PHEV, and we're going to look at this lease deal right here. We're going to click on View Offer. This is the complete offer here. We've got all the fine print here. So let's kind of break it down step by step, and I'll show you why I think this is an amazing lease deal on an amazing three-row SUV. So in terms of the trim, this is a 2024 CX-90 PHEV that stands for plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, preferred all-wheel drive with an automatic transmission. And the lease offer on this particular car is $389 a month for 30 months with $4,060 due at lease signing. And ladies and gentlemen, this $389 a month payment includes the $7,500 EV tax credit. Now, this $7,500 EV tax credit is listed as customer cash, but this is essentially the EV tax credit. It's the manufacturer, in this case Mazda, just transferring or passing on that saving on to you as the customer. Now, this lease deal allows for 10,000 miles a year. Now, if you know you drive, 12,000 miles a year, or even if you know you drive 15,000 miles a year, I would actually negotiate that into the lease deal at the beginning of the lease rather than paying for the excess mileage penalty at the end of the lease. So a lot of people make this mistake. They'll get a 10,000 mile a year lease when they know they drive 12, 13, 14, or 15,000 miles a year, and that really does not benefit you at all financially. If you know you drive 12,000 miles, or if you know you drive 15,000 miles a year, it's better to get that 12 or 15,000 mile a year lease at the beginning of the lease rather than paying the excess mileage penalty. In this case, you would pay 15 cents per mile for all mileage over 10,000 miles a year. Now, moving on, you'll see that this lease has no security deposit required. And the reason they list this is because many leases want you to put a security deposit down or multiple security deposits down, and that essentially lowers the money factor, aka the interest rate on the lease. And you'll see here that the monthly payment on this particular lease deal includes the $650 acquisition fee, which is great. Now, it depends on the lease, but many lease deals don't include the $650 acquisition fee. But in this case, this $650 acquisition fee is just rolled into the monthly payment. And this $389 a month payment excludes tax, title, license, and dealer options and charges. Now, if we look at the fine print of this particular lease deal, you'll see that this lease deal is based on an MSRP of $49,945. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is really, really important, because anytime you're trying to evaluate whether or not you're getting a good lease deal, the MSRP is extremely important, because that's how you're going to gauge whether or not you're getting a good lease deal. And that 1.25% rule that I was talking about at the the beginning of this video, we will implement that rule using this MSRP number of $49,945. Now, moving on with the fine print, you'll see that the lessee is responsible for maintenance, excess wear and use, and will pay 15 cents per mile for all mileage over 10,000 miles a year. Now, one thing that I've seen with people who are a little reluctant to lease is they always get scared of these excess wear and tear penalties. But the fact of the matter is that even if you were to buy or finance this car, right? Let's say I bought a car and I wanted to go trade it in 3 years from now. But let's say I had a bunch of curb rash. Let's say I had scratches going down the driver's side door. Let's say, you know, my driver's side mirror was broken. Well, guess what? That's going to impact your trade-in value. That's going to impact your resale value. And leasing a car is no different. And I've leased multiple cars. I know people that have leased multiple cars. As long as your car is in okay condition, you will not be charged the excess wear and tear penalties. Another very important part about this lease is that you do have the option to purchase this car at the end of the lease for $35,924 plus tax. Now, I think this is very important because a lot of leases these days, especially electric vehicle leases or plug-in hybrid leases, don't have a lease buyout or a lease purchase option at the end of the lease. And the reason I'm a little bit reluctant to lease those vehicles is because you can't realize any potential positive equity that you have in your lease at the end of the lease. So in a hypothetical situation, let's just say that I lease this car for 30 months and I know I can buy it for $35,924. Now, a few months before my lease ends, I'm gonna ask myself, do I have equity in this particular lease? And one of the easiest ways to find out if you have equity or not is to simply go to a website like cars.com or autotrader.com and see what vehicles with this particular trim and mileage around what your car has been driven are selling for across the nation. And if you find that vehicles of this particular trim are selling for $39,000, $40,000, $41,000, that means that you have equity in your lease. And when you have positive equity in your lease, let's say it's $5,000, the worst financial decision you could make is just simply return that car back to the dealer. Because essentially what you're doing is returning that car back to the dealer and you're pretty much handing them a $5,000 check that could have been yours. Now, there's many different ways that you can realize the equity in your lease. The easiest way is that if your lease allows for third-party buyouts, you can shop your leased car around before the lease ends. For example, you can go to CarMax, you can go to a place like driveway.com, you can go to virtually any dealership, whether it's a Honda, Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, you can go to any dealership in your area and you can get quotes on this particular car, and then you just sell it to the highest bidder. Now, if your lease does not allow for third-party buyouts, that essentially means that you can't sell your leased car to any other dealership that's not a Mazda dealership. Now, in that particular case, what I would do is right before my lease ends, let's say 2 or 3 months before my lease ends, I would take my leased car to every single Mazda dealership within like 100, 200 mile radius of me. And I would get offers on that car and then I would just trade it in or sell it to the highest bidder. And so many people will tell you that it's impossible to have positive equity at the end of the lease. But believe me, ladies and gentlemen, it happens, and it happens more often and more frequently than you think. My position on this has always been, why not give it a shot? Don't just simply hand the keys over or hand your car in without making sure you have positive equity. And if you do have positive equity in your car, then you need to realize it. Now, another important thing to recognize is that this car does have a $350 disposition fee at the end of the lease. So that essentially means that when you go and turn in your car, you're gonna have to pay an additional $350. Now let's talk about the 1.25% rule of car leasing and what, in my opinion, makes this an incredible lease. So I've actually busted out the handy dandy calculator, and what I'm gonna do is take this $4,060 that's due at signing, and I'm gonna divide it by 30. And that's gonna give me $135.33. And then I'm gonna add this amount to the monthly payment of $389 a month, and that equals $524.33. So that essentially means that if I were to roll in this $4,060 that's due at signing into the lease, effectively making it a $0 down lease, my monthly payment would be $524 a month. Now, one important thing to remember is that this lease payment does not include taxes. Now, what I'm gonna do with this $524 a month is I'm gonna multiply it by 1.1, and that will give me $576. So my monthly payment with taxes included is gonna be about $576 a month. Now, it's important to note that this $576 a month does include tax, but it does not include title and license fee. Now let's just assume that license and title is gonna be about $500 a year because it's usually about 1% of the vehicle's MSRP. And now my monthly payment with all taxes included, all license and title fees included, and putting nothing down, literally a sign and drive, my monthly payment is going to be $592.76 a month. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where the 1.25% rule comes in handy. So what I'm going to do is divide this $592.76 by the MSRP of this car, which is $49,945. And when I do that, I get 0.0118. And when I roll the decimal over 2 spots, it's a 1.18% lease. In other words, the monthly payment on this car is 1.18% of the vehicle's MSRP, which is under 1.25%, which in my book makes this a tremendous lease deal. Now, a lot of people will tell you that when your monthly payment is 1.5% or less of the MSRP, you're getting a great deal on a lease, and I don't disagree with that. My rules are just a little bit more stringent. I like to go with 1.25%, and as you can see here, this lease is 1.18%, which falls below my threshold of 1.25%. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this includes all of your down payment, all of your fees, all of your taxes. Everything has been rolled into the monthly payment so that you can do a true sign and drive, and you still get 1.18%, which is awesome. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It was a full breakdown of the 2024 Mazda CX-90 plug-in hybrid SUV. And the beauty of this particular car is that it's not only a great lease deal, it's actually a plug-in hybrid, so you'll essentially save even more money. All you need to do is plug this car in every single night before you go to sleep, and your first 26 miles of travel is going to be all electric. And if you can maximize the usage of that electric battery, you'll save a lot more money in the long term, because gas prices are really, really expensive right now, as I'm sure all of you know. Now, if any of you guys want one-on-one lease coaching to understand leases better and understand how to get good lease deals, you can visit my Stan Store link in the bio, and you can schedule your one-on-one lease coaching call today. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna call it a video. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.